looks like we're getting started down there now with Texas A&M in red and Michigan in blue coming off the line. Blue boats out ahead. Really nice start for Michigan. 2 boats, 1 boat at the pin and 1 boat middle or nearer to the boat end of the start line, which is a great start. 1 boat tacking off now towards the right, a little bit delayed there. But you'd be pretty happy with 2 boats launched like that.
Yeah, looking really, really good on that leeward end, the left side of the course, and now tacking back to cover. All 3 boats actually sailing really well up the course right now. You've got to be worried if you're in the red boats. You know, I'm just looking up rosters. We have almost complete rosters here for these teams. Texas A&M Galveston, sailing with John Atwood, a senior, and Sarah Stafford. They've got Ben Kennedy and Megan Chan Chow, and team captain Colin Weston with Leslie Holt. And then for Michigan, it's Matt Graham and Kristen, oh, I'm going to butcher this name. Let me try it. Corneliuson, Ryan Seago and Evelyn Hall, Will Sear, and Scott Ismail. That's your starting lineup. They also have on their roster Amanda Baker, Catherine Burt, Ellen Dubois, and Corinne Smolniak. And I'm not sure exactly who they've got sailing in the light wind today.
Yeah,
I expect it would be their starting lineup.
Very slow out there on that leg. Feels like we're in more breeze over here than they have.
Yeah, which is odd because, you know, we were out on the course yesterday. We were shooting some highlights, and you guys can, of course, enjoy that when you're between races. Feel free to scroll down or hit the video link on the live stream page. You can see all the videos we put up. I think there's actually a few more to come that we just didn't have time to put up yesterday. But it seemed like consistently the first leg was windier than the second upwind leg. It seemed like as you got closer to shore, we just expected that it was the land getting in the way, and it was decreased breeze. But today, yeah, it feels quite windy over here, and we've already seen a couple of second half of the second beats where the new breeze comes into play. And out there, they're still in this morning's dead stuff. So interesting wind conditions here on the lake today.
Michigan in blue sailing free and clear, looks like going pretty well for them.
Yes, it does. We've got a cross coming up, and I think blue is going to be ahead. They're going to choose to lee bow, which is actually a nice choice here. Well, they were ready to lee bow. They didn't have to. The other team tacked right into their bad air. That was anticipating the tack. They really ought to have waited until the team actually tacked. Now they're going to go right back. But as the lead team, you want to protect the right side. You want to come into that mark right there on ley line, on starboard tack. You don't want anyone to get to the right of you.
Yeah.
And Michigan's doing a nice job keeping that right now.
They've got all bases covered right now, it looks like.
Jane, let's turn away from this race for just a moment. We're going to look back down to the starting line where we've got yellow and black just coming off the line now. This is Wisconsin in black, University of California, Santa Barbara in yellow. And Jane, I'd be very interested to see this race.
Yeah.
These guys both are undefeated so far. UCSB already has a win over Michigan and Texas A&M Galveston. Wisconsin has beaten Oregon as well as Miami, who you mentioned, a very tough team who won co-ed semi-finals qualifiers.
Yeah, UC Santa Barbara also doing well at this regatta. These races really count, as Chris mentioned earlier. They only get one chance, one head-to-head against the other teams in this round, and that's it. So.
And it looks like a really nice start there for Wisconsin. Boat 12 on the near side, tacking and covering. They're winning a pair on the far side, and it looks like they've got the middle locked up as well. You know, you'll hear me talk about upwind. We can't exactly tell you who's in first, second, third, fourth. It's too difficult, and it doesn't really exist as they spread out. Things change so quickly. But upwind, the goal is really just to win more of the pairs than the others. You're going to have pairs of boats. Oh, I just heard a flag. That's on the other race. We'll get back to that in a moment. And so as we come off the line, we see Wisconsin is winning 3 pairs. Therefore, I say they're winning the race. That's the best way to keep control going upwind, is to just stay ahead of one other boat. And if everyone does that, you're in good shape. All right, so we'll check back in with those guys. But right now, Wisconsin really looking good. Back to the red and blue match.
Michigan is spinning. Michigan in the blue at the back, but a 1-2 they have at the moment, which is going to be good enough for the win if they can hold it.
Well, that's great for Texas A&M Galveston, because with that boat out of the picture, they can all just go fast forward. They can try to do a high-low, and it looks like they're already doing that. You see boat 2, the red boat, sailing high, trying to capture the wind, go over the top. They don't quite have it. There they go. Now they're pulling them up, distracting boat 16, making them sail higher than they would like to. Meanwhile, their teammate, boat 3, just sails low, just puts the bow right on the mark, goes the direct route as fast as they can, and over time you're going to see them get split up. So what was a 3-4-5 is very quickly becoming a 2-4-5, and that's going to give Texas A&M Galveston another shot.
Looking pretty light and painful out there right now. You'd be sweating.
And I
sure.
do think, yeah, absolutely. I do think that is the reason for these flags. You know, as you mentioned, this is a consolation round. The boat handling is not quite at the level as it is in the gold round. But at the same time, it's hard for anybody out there to sail aggressively, to sail fast, and to not have infractions in this light stuff. So we will check in with both of these races, but now we're really keeping things moving. I just heard down on the starting line, we've got another race starting. This is Miami in orange versus Oregon in green. They're within 1 minute to the start. I think they're at 10 seconds actually. And look at that, Miami already, even before the start, you can see how important the 3 minutes is to get position. They've got all 3 boats on their line. I see 2 green boats not on the starting line. And I mean,
maybe 3.
Yeah, maybe 3. You can really just count yourself out if you start with a deep 5-6 like that. I mean, 1 boat has yet to cross the starting line.
Yeah,
and it's not that they messed up the time and distance to the line. It's simply that they've been team racing for the past 3 minutes. And Miami's obviously been aggressive enough to slow these boats down, to push them away, to get between them and the starting line, and not allow them to get a good start. So Miami looking really good off the line against Oregon. You can see coming back into the picture, you're going to have to really think fast to keep up with us here now. We've got Texas A&M Galveston in red, Michigan in blue coming downwind. And it looks like Michigan still has the 1. They've got an inside boat. You might call that the 2. As long as they stay overlapped into the zone, they'll be 2. Yeah, boat 3 there might have had a play, but now they're inside the 2 boat length zone. So boat 3, I think, for a moment there, was a leeward boat. Texas A&M Galveston wants to be playing back here. They don't want to be trying to push it forward, and yet they do, and take the 1.
I think in this light air, if you keep the boat moving, and if your competitor gets stopped, you're going to sail around them. That's what we just saw.
Oh, and there's a whistle. Was that on this race? Where was that? Okay, that was a different race. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, I mean, the playbook there tells you to play back, to slow the other team and to go for a different combination. But boat 3 saw the opportunity, took the 1. Maybe a good idea, but look at their teammates. They're in a 5-6. That's not a winning combination. I think the better play there, honestly, would have been to look back behind you, try to take out one of the boats, put a mark trap on, and get the red boats up and out of last place. And so they're going to be paying for it here. A 1-5-6 going upwind to the final, on the final beat to the finish. Texas A&M Galveston losing to Michigan, who's got a 2-3-4. I think the most exciting race on the course right now, and the one we should really be focusing on, is the black and yellow. Wisconsin in black, UCSB in yellow. Now they're around Mark 2. UCSB is coming back here. They've got a 2-3-5, I want to say, which is a winning combination, but not stable. They really want to get that into a 2-3-4. Meanwhile, Wisconsin is thinking play 4. They'd like to get into a 1-4-5.
Looks like this black boat is going to come into play pretty quickly on the inside here.
And if you're, I have to apologize to viewers that aren't used to watching team racing or haven't done it themselves. When I say 1, 4, 5, I mean first place, fourth place, and fifth place. If you want to think about winning combinations, if your place finishes add up to 10 points or less, then you will be winning the race. A 1, 4, 5 is 1 plus 4 is 5 plus 5 is 10. Then that leaves the other team with a 2, 3, 6. 2 and 3 is 5. 6 is 11. That would be losing the race overall. So you eventually come to just kind of memorize these. A 1, 4, 5 is a play 4. That's a winning combo. A 2, 3, 4 is a play 2. That's a winning combo. And that is the goal of these two teams right here. Wisco, are they moving ahead into a 1-2 here, it looks like? I think so. Boats 11 and 12 now headed downwind. If they can keep control of those positions into the mark, they're going to be in really good shape for the final leg. All right, well, let's just pull away for just a moment here and look over to our right at the red and blue boats coming to the finish now. Texas A&M, Galveston, Michigan. Galveston seems to have held on to that 1, but I think they're still in a 5-6, maybe a 4-6. But either way, that's not a winning combination. Oh boy, more circles.
Wow.
Oh, and this is just murder for Michigan.
What was that for?
I don't know. I believe that was just a 360. Are they going to continue to turn, or was that a 1-turn penalty? If you, as in all sailing, you can take a penalty yourself. In team racing, you only have to do a 1-turn penalty. If you let the umpires decide it and they give you a red flag, it's a 2-turn penalty, and that was a 1-turn there. So I think it must have been a starboard port situation, and they decided to take the penalty right there and then and try to get back in the race. So I was going to say,
we've got a 1-3-6 now for Michigan.
It looks like you might be right. There's another flag, or at least a whistle.
Red.
There's the red. Who's it on? Oh, I think we're going to have to defer to the race committee on this. I mean, on the course, it looks like
Red got the 1.
Texas A&M Galveston's going to have a 1-4-5. Oh, no, it's blue boat spinning. Oh, my goodness, another red flag. Who is this on? I'm reluctant to call it yet.
I don't think they know.
I don't. Yeah, I don't have a clue. On the water, it looks like a win for, well, okay, boat 2 is spinning. This has got to be a win for Michigan now. I think. Okay, well, we will try to talk to someone who knows a bit more about this than we do. That was a very confusing finish. I don't know who finished in what order. I don't know what's going on with the penalty turns. Someone is still spinning on the course. So we'll check the official results and we'll see what we can do. In the meanwhile, let's head back down to black and yellow, Wisconsin versus UCSB. As more red flags continue to fly on the race. Texas A&M Galveston, just for your information, is still spinning.
Yeah, more.
The umpires are not going to let up on this. And that's a black flag, which in team racing simply means that there will be a hearing after the race. So even at this point, we don't know what the final result is. We'll wait for the news to come into the booth and let you know. Meanwhile, Wisconsin
black 1-2 coming up the last beat. Nice launch here. Looks like pretty plain sailing for this last beat for these guys. Wisconsin done a nice job. We didn't see it, but on that downwind they must have done a nice job to get out in front. And there's not too much that UC Santa Barbara can do here. Covered by the 2 front boats. Getting close to the ley line to the finish. That'll put UC Santa Barbara,
yeah, little lifter there. Not quite going to get a piece of 11. They're going to lee bow and take this one into the finish, it looks like. And just for insurance, you can see boat 12 swooping down here, pulling that main sheet in as tight as they can.
Ready for anything.
Yeah, it's it's not probably not necessary to be so aggressive, but they're just want to be sure that this 1-2 is not broken up if the wind shifts any further. That's a good heads-up play by the lead boat. So it looks like Wisco will be taking this 1-2. The worst that can happen here is going to be 1-3. Unless, of course, someone has to spin 12 circles at the finish line.
Which you never know. It can happen even after you think you've finished.
It has
apparently. And this will put Wisconsin on 3 wins in this round, which is giving them a nice leg up.
Yeah, sitting alone in the podium spot there now. They're the only ones in this round robin who can claim that title. They've got Michigan coming up in flight 4, and then they'll be facing Texas A&M Galveston in flight 5. So Wisco has a chance to go undefeated here and claim that top spot in silver.
And there we go, 1-2. Race over.
Yep, we'll be looking for them in a few minutes for flight 4.
So Miami in orange and Oregon in green now coming up on their last beat. What have we got here?
Well, it's a 2-3-4 for Miami. I was just watching them round the mark, but it was very close at the leeward mark. Miami actually had to do a bit of mark trapping to keep their 2-3-4, but they did round on the inside, and they seem to have put in a little bit more distance on this leg. They're starting to leg it out, but as you can see, what green is trying to do here is get them unbalanced. Boat 15 is trying to get some leverage here on the shore. They just want to get ahead of one of the orange boats. If they can do that, they can go for the play 4. They've got the 1. They can try to get a 4th and a 5th place, but boat 8 knows that that's what they're trying to do. Boat 8 is going to sit there and prevent them from tacking, try to let their orange teammates get ahead, and finish this race 2-3-4. And they're coming up pretty close to the finish line now. So as a reminder, this is the last race of flight 3. There are 5 flights total. So we have 6 more races after this. Just 2 sets of 3 races each.
So really light now. We were saying before that we thought that the breeze was picking up and hoping for it to continue on that trend, but it is very light, very slow, smooth sailing. You can see this orange boat sailing away from us here. Very slow, very crew sitting right to leeward. And 7 coming across here from the left, looking pretty good. Must have picked up a little gust. As it gets lighter, it's more important to be finding those little veins of breeze. That is one constant we have seen over the last couple of days. The breeze does tend to be quite visible when there are puffs and rolling down the course. It's been more consistent throughout the race course today, but as it gets lighter, you can definitely see patches of breeze and glass. And it looks like our first boat is finishing now, Miami in orange. And the boats that went more right got kind of caught in a lull. We're seeing green trying to finish. One of their last boats from Oregon sailing into 2nd place. Now that was breeze just filling in. That all of those right boats, they were ahead of that green boat before. Lost out because they got caught in a bit of a hole.
Yeah, I wonder if this is a permanent change. I mean, look at the breeze direction. That's just gone 90 degrees to the left.
And so 3rd, is that 3rd for Miami, which would give them the win? It's going to be hard to tell from our vantage point right here, but
yeah, it looks to me like they've got the 3-4, both boats heading up and over the line.
And either way, I think the best that Oregon could have done was a 2-3-6, which is not enough.
Yep,
not good enough.
The shorthand, if you can't figure out exactly what the finishes are, the shorthand way to think of it is first and not last wins.
So that would
one and anything that's not a 6 will win.
So that would put Miami on 2 wins so far today. Wisconsin on 3 wins. So those are going to be our leaders.
Now, of course, ties are broken by head-to-head records, so if Miami wants to come out on top, it's not over for them yet. They're going to need to take 2 more wins in this regatta, but they're going to need Wisconsin to drop a race, to drop 2 races, that is to say, because they did lose to Wisconsin head-to-head. We'll talk more about that when we return for flight number 4. At the moment, we're going to take a short break, continuing live coverage of the 2012 ICSA APS Team Race National Championship. When we return, I'm Chris Love, this is Jane Mackey, and our coverage today is presented to you by Maclaren. Maclaren, who's a great supporter of sailing everywhere, and we're so happy to have them supporting college sailing here on Lake Travis. Thanks, guys. We'll be right back with Flight 4.
So we have Michigan and Wisconsin racing here. Michigan in red and Wisconsin in blue. You can see blue Wisconsin in a 1-2 with a large gap back to Michigan in red, coming down to the bottom mark, then their final leg to the finish. Looking like a pretty solid position for Wisconsin. Could be their 4th win of this round. Really starting to stand out as the top competitor, top team in this event here.
And sorry that we are bringing you back in the middle of this race. We needed a short intermission to try to consolidate our internet. I know that the streaming has been a bit painful. Sorry, we thought the music would be more enjoyable during the intermission. I'm sorry if it was jumpy and repeating on you. We've kicked off a few of the computers, and hopefully it will be better for you for the rest of the day. We're still learning during the silver round, but hopefully we'll have everything squared away for you during the gold round. Correction on the names, I do have updated names from Michigan, and I've been doing them wrong for the past couple days, but in the high boat it's Will Sear with Evelyn Hall, Ryan Seago and Corinne Smalik. It's handwritten here, and I'm not even sure what letter that is, so that's sorry about that. And then Matt Graham with Kirsten Corneliuson. And so apologies to Michigan for
So Wisconsin's job, easy as they come around this bottom mark. One takes the left side, one takes the right side, covering the boats coming out behind them, heading up to the finish here. Michigan trailing in this race. We just saw them. They were the one in the race with Texas A&M Galveston with all of the whistles right near the end. We don't know what the result was of that race.
No, very, very confusing finish, and I think even being out there would have been a confusing finish.
Nice.
This one a little more straightforward so far.
Yeah, nice breeze coming up to this finish. Looks like quite plain sailing. Not too much team racing going on right now.
No, this is always the goal. If you're team racing, you'd like to get into the 1-2 and just do your thing, take it home. All they've really got to be worried about here is this lateral distance that they've got. I mean, they're hundreds of feet away from their competitors. So you can see boat 3 and boat 17. You know, it looks like 17's still pretty far ahead, but if we had a huge 90-degree lefty like we did in the last race, conceivably 3 could beat 17 still. And so that's why you see the top two boats are staying with their pairs. They're not going to just sail what they think is the shortest distance to the finish. They want to be conservative, keep the same distance as their opponents have, and be ready to drop back and slow down their opponent if necessary. In this case, it's going to be pretty straightforward here. Wisco 17 and 18 converging on the finish, and this is going to be a 1-2. And a win for Wisconsin. This will be 4th straight win, 4-0, here in the silver round. And so Wisconsin gearing up to pick up a win and a 9th place overall finish. So we'll trust that Wisco can sail across the line without picking up too many penalty flags and turn back down to the starting line now. This is black and yellow. UCSB, that's University of California, Santa Barbara, sailing in the black boats, and Miami sailing in the yellow boats.
Yeah, another good matchup here. Both good teams. Looks like yellow is winning on the left side of the course, and what do you think on this right side of the course?
Well, hard to say from this angle especially. I think a different angle would help us out a lot, but it does look like the rightmost boat on the screen is to windward and ahead and is controlling that pair. On the other pair, the yellow boat might be poked out and might be winning as well, but it looks like they're being covered right now by the black boat sailing a higher angle. So I would say yellow winning one pair, black winning another, but we're going to have to wait until they get a bit closer to be sure.
So I think both of these boats on 2 wins each coming into this race.
And now I correct myself. Miami definitely ahead in both pairs as boat 5 tacks to starboard, crosses cleanly, but a big righty coming in here. It looks like boat 11 for UCSB is also going to cross. They're going to leave their teammate to fend for themselves. I thought you might see a little double tack there. Quick hit on boat 6. But nope, 10 can handle it themselves. Boat 6 tacking away now. And so UCSB is still hanging. I think Miami's got the advantage right now, winning 2 pairs. But UCSB hanging tough as they approach the second half of the beat. And in the foreground, you're about to be interrupted by some blue sails. That's Wisconsin coming back to the dock after their race win against Michigan. Wisco now 4-0 in the silver round. They've only got one more race, and that will be the last race of silver when they face Texas A&M Galveston.
Yellow and Miami really speeding ahead here. It looks like they're going to be 1-2, potentially 1-2 at this top mark.
Yeah, they did a nice job getting off the line, winning both corners, and playing the breeze well as well, because we did see a bit of a shift there on the right side. I think the left side probably experienced something similar, tacking on the lift, or tacking on the header into a lift, and getting there first. Now, this is interesting. You expect with a 1-2 that both boats would just go fast forward, but you're seeing that second place boat slowing down just a little bit. They like to have a gap between the first and second place boats. That way they can't both be overtaken at the same time. So a little 1-2 gap is not a bad thing. And approaching Mark 2, you can see the first place boat is now 3 boat lengths or so ahead of the second place boat. And Miami 1-2 onto the downwind leg. Now their third opponent is sitting back there. They've got an inside lane. They might be able to get in front of one boat. Let's see if they get rolled coming into this mark. No, they've got a hook, and so what that it does for them is a little bit of added insurance. You know, 1-2, anything wins. Even last place will win. But if they can bury that last place boat, just get a wider. If we get a wider picture, we can see everybody together. The boats on the right, off the screen right now, are sailing way higher than necessary, and that's, like I was saying, added insurance. If you bury that last place boat, put them way back, even if UCSB is able to come back and get back into it in the front, if they're way deep in last place, that's going to be an awful lot of effort necessary.
Good breeze rolling down the course right now.
There really is, yeah. This is it's freshening nicely, which is great to see. So UCSB in black still chasing the 1-2 on the left side of the screen, and
on the first beat on the just starting on the other side is Texas A&M in orange and Oregon in green.
Yeah, so let's leave in Miami right now with the 1-2 and turn to this green and orange race. And these are two of the more evenly matched teams. They both struggled a bit in silver, and so this may actually be for the honor of not finishing last at nationals. So Oregon has the one. No, they don't. Texas A&M Galveston has the one on the far side, sailing up the middle of the course. Closer to us, it looks like Oregon may be winning this pair. And I believe that Texas A&M Galveston has the 6 as well. Now off screen right now, just to keep you updated, Miami is still winning their race, but we'll keep it locked to Tamig and Oregon here. It's a bit closer as they approach Mark 1. So now we can see it is Oregon in the 1. Boat 15 on the right of the screen leading into the mark. They're not quite ley line here. I think they're going to need a double tack, but they're getting close. And I think they're going to get a piece of boat 8. Depth perception is pretty difficult from this distance. Are they going to make boat 8 tack?
No.
Oh, very close. I think they thought they were, as much as I thought they were, and you can see them dialing up, trying to get a piece of them. They just couldn't do it. So that means Texas A&M Galveston has the 1. Oregon rounding in 2nd. Galveston rounding, no, not rounding. They're still on the inside. They're going to need a double tack as well. Boy, slow rounding, very deliberate movements positioning their boats. But it looks like it's alternating so far. Galveston in the 1, Oregon in the 2, but stopped right there. They're ready for the mark trap. They're trying to turn into a 2-3-4, and so far it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of green.
Now remember, they still have to go to that mark 2. Everyone's sailing low here because they want to get an inside lane, but they can't go down yet. They have to go up to that 2nd mark. And look at them sailing close haul to get there. Galveston now thinking about maybe a little bit of a mark trap here. It's anyone's game right now. Better execution, not picking up any penalties, and then sailing fast out of it can mean a winning combination for either team. And so coming up, if we just pull back a little bit, we can actually watch 2 races at once here. We've got Miami in the foreground coming up to the finish line. And it looks like they've held on to that 1-2. It's not over yet, but it's looking pretty good for Miami.
Yeah.
Downwind, I don't know. Who came out of that better? Texas A&M Galveston is still fighting for that, to hold on to that first place spot. Their back boats haven't done anything, though. They've still got their guys sitting back there in the 6. They could think about a play 4, trying to go for a 1-4-5, but I'm not sure that that 1 is totally solidified yet. So we're kind of in this stalemate where boats are jumbled together, still waiting for somebody to pull the trigger, make a move. All right, so we'll leave Miami. It looks like they've got it locked up. Miami finishing now, and they are undefeated except for that loss to Wisco. Miami.
Only 1 race to go for them now.
Yeah, likely to be 2nd. We'll see what happens in the final flight with. Yeah, actually no, it's locked up at this point, isn't it? Because Wisco can still lose to Texas A&M Galveston. Miami can still win, but the tiebreaker would go to Wisco. So, yeah, Miami hoping now for a second place overall finish. Back to the orange and green.
Orange leading all of these three pairs at the moment. Orange is Texas A&M.
Well, now I like what I'm seeing from Galveston here. Boat 9 working high, trying to get the inside lane as they're about halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way down. They're going to have to do what they just said. They're driving to starboard. Do they still have a piece of 15? No, but their teammate can help here. This is where they can hook them and try to cull a 1-2. Oh, if only that first place boat would jibe, they'd be able to come right over on port, take out boat 15, and open up a hole for 9 to sail into 1-2. Right now, 15 is sailing fast on the inside for Oregon. And they've still got second place locked up. So Texas A&M, Galveston electing instead to wait for the mark. But you see what they're doing here. We talk about stable combinations. Both teams have sailed this entire leg and most of the last leg, the short one, in unstable combinations. One team or the other is always winning, but neither had it locked up at any point. And so now Galveston mark trapping. Oh, but there's no orange boats there. Oregon rounding 2, 3. Do they have room? I think they do. Please bear with us as we do have a pole in the way, so that's why you're tilted over right now as our cameraman is leaning out to capture this action.
So Oregon 0 wins yesterday, 1 win today.
Of course, nothing carries over from yesterday, but it is an indicator of how they stack up against these teams. So Oregon rounds with the 2-3, which is pretty impressive. I thought Galveston had a chance to shut them out, but they still have that 6. So now we do have a stable combination. We have Texas A&M Galveston in a 1-4-5. But this is the classic last beat team racing. It's still anybody's match. The 2-3-6. What they probably want to start doing is stop sailing up the course. They don't want to get to the finish, because if they finish like this, they lose. So what Oregon probably wants to do is consolidate, get the fleet together, and double team. Put one boat on 9, one boat on 7, and slow down both boats at the same time, get 14 out of last place and into the lead. But it seems like what they're doing, and I'm not sure that I necessarily agree with myself anymore, it seems like what they're trying to do instead is take the lead. They want to get first place. They're chasing that lead boat. Kind of risky, because if they don't get it done soon, then they're going to finish like this and lose. But 15, let's see if they have a piece of 8. Yeah, oh boy, they were sailing fast on that right side. 13's actually got them teammates. They can call, should have called for room to tack there. That was a starboard port. So we're seeing a few tactical errors there. There was definitely a play for Oregon. 13 could have asked, told boat 8 to tack. Instead, 15, who was the right-of-way boat, should have been in first place, drops all the way back behind 8. They're covered, and it's back open for Galveston. So a couple of mistakes there for Oregon, but it hasn't cost them the race yet. They've sailed into first place. Boat 13 for Oregon now has the lead, but they do still have that last place, and we know that you can't win if you have the last place boat. If you have a 1-4-6 is what I'm trying to say, which is what they have right now.
Which is what they have right now. Yeah, boat 15 pretty slow in there. They did sail themselves into that position, into the dirty air of 8, not giving themselves so many options.
And now you see them dipping first to tack. They were covered, they were pinned and couldn't tack, but they managed to dip low, tack away. They're still playing forward here, and this is not what team racing is about. You're not trying to just outsail your opponent to the finish line. They need help from that teammate. They can give up the one and change it around. It's not necessarily too late, although you can see they're practically ley line here, so there's not a lot of options left, but 15's still going fast. A 1-3 would do it for Oregon. They're gonna get the 1. I can see right now boat 9 is panicking. They know it. they know that this is not going to go well for them. Boat 15 tacks. Oh boy. Starboard advantage, but boat 8 is crossing. They tack first. It's going to be a 2-3, I want to say, for Texas A&M Galveston. Probably a 2-3-5. It's possible that Oregon snuck it in there and had a 1-3 themselves, but I think that was Texas A&M Galveston with a 2-3-5, and I think the win is going to go to Galveston. We're going to have to wait for the race committee to call in the official scores. I'll tell you, if you were looking for the textbook way to try to win a team race, that was not it, but some fast sailing might have done it. All right, so we will report in when we have that for you, but for now